Buongiorno. Buona domenica. Welcome and happy Sunday. Here I am once again, back in my studio at Little K Artistry. Sono Little K, also known as Kristen, and I am delighted to be back here with you again for another full-length instructional video in my art tutorial series. I think it's art tutorial. Maybe it's just me doing art and you guys watching, but grazie mille. And thank you so much for being here. I'm delighted to have you. And thank you so much for your support and encouragement, and for everybody for coming back and watching more videos. I had a little bit of a hiatus as I was working through some things that were going on in my life this past summer with the loss of my parents. But I am back at it, back in my studio. I am doing another 18 by 24 canvas, and the last one that I did was the blues. Many of you have watched it. Sei troppo gentile. You are so kind. All of your comments are so sweet, and I've received emails and messages on Facebook, and you've also found me on TikTok, and you found me on Instagram, you found me on Facebook. It's just wonderful to see you all. Thank you so much. I so appreciate every single one of you. So today I'm doing one. I've selected some pinks and purples. So I'm going to be doing the same kind of, it's not a Dutch bloom, because Dutch bloom uses just paint and water. And this, I'm actually using my Little K abstract cellulose pouring medium for these paints. The link is down below. And they're a little bit thicker. So it's not just paint and water, it's paint and pouring medium. So and it's 3 layers. It's the foundation layer, which is, again, the PPG Multi-Pro House Paint. That's my foundation layer. And then my colors, which are mixed with my abstract cellulose pouring medium, which is in the link down below. And then the 3rd layer is the top layer. This is not Australian Floetrol. The information for the top layer is also in that same video, the mixing video for my abstract cellulose. I don't call it cell activator, because nothing's being activated. You guys hear me say that all the time, and it's true. It's nothing being activated. So today I'm going to do another, and I call them like a tipped bloom. And I think I explained it in my last video, but I happened upon this little tweak accidentally because I was working on a heavy texture bloom like what I'm going to do today, and I spun it too fast and it almost went off of my table and it tilted and the paint slid, and then I put it back on my canvas and I looked at it and I was like, wait a minute, it looks like the flower is tilted. So then I started manipulating it and spinning it, and come to find out I accidentally found a new way of making a tilted bloom, which is so exciting. So now I'm deliberately doing it. It's so fun. So this is a I think it's 16 by 24, and this is a deep edge gallery wrapped canvas. I like to do these big blooms on the thicker canvases because once they're all dry and cured, I like to add texture to them. And the thicker canvases really hold up and are more sturdy when I add the texture on. So I'm going to get my handy dandy coverall here, because I don't want to get paint on my clothes. And even though I tell everybody, more revolutions, but just spin them slower, will get you the same result as spinning really fast. And if you don't spin really fast, it won't get all over your clothes, it won't get all over your floor, it won't get all over your walls. Many of you have asked me, how do you keep the canvas from spinning off your spinner? That's how. I spin like this, and this is the spinner that I made. There's a link down below if you want to make this as well. It's a 24-inch round spinner. It's very smooth and quiet. Doesn't make any noise at all. It's wonderful. And it spins like a lot. Like you spin one time and it keeps going because it's got some weight to it, which is awesome. And that's how I'm able to do the spin outs and not, number one, get paint all over the place, and number two, my canvas does not slide off my spinner because I'm not spinning it so fast. And even when it comes to the tilting and moving the canvas around, I can lean the canvas depending on whether or not it's going to hit. Don't hit anything. I can lean the canvas even off the spinner and spin it. As long as you're spinning it slow enough, the canvas will not move off your spinner. You don't need tape or anything like that. Some of you like to use the silicone mats, and you can do that as well, and that just adds another level of making sure the canvas is not going to spin off your spinner. But like I said, more revolutions and spin slower, and you won't have to worry about it. So fun. Let me center this back on here again. Okay, so today, the last one that I did was the blue one. I love it. I'm waiting for it to cure so I can add some texture, and I'll show you that. That one, when I put the colors in the middle of the canvas, I put them right in the middle. So when I went to tilt it, it looked like some of the petals were off a little bit further. So today what I'm going to do, I'm going to attempt, I'm going to put the petal off center a little bit, and then when I tilt it, it will hopefully look like it's more, the whole flower is more centered, if you know what I'm saying. But I want it to still be tilted. So, I mean, you'll see when I do it. So I will let you know, I'm going to put my gloves on and let you know what colors I'm using. Got some, I've never used these colors before altogether, so I'm a little bit concerned about what it's going to look like. But I just have faith. I'm just going to do it. You know what? Just got to do it. The only way you learn is by doing. So I'm going to start with the Van Dyke Brown, which I love to use in the center at the bottom layer, because I believe when you start blowing it out, when you go down to the bottom layers, it leaves that dark in the center, and I want a dark center. So that one, and then this is a mixture of permanent blue violet and primary magenta. So this is a purple, like a plum, that I mixed myself. So permanent blue violet and primary magenta. This is Alzarian crimson, which I've never used before. I just mixed it up. This one is also a mixture, dioxazine purple, titanium white, and primary magenta. So it's a little bit of a lighter purple. This is really bright, iridescent pink, no, fluorescent pink. And then I have a pigment. This is actually a mixture of two. So this is going to be PBO iridescent gold, which is a tube paint. And then I mix that with a pigment from Let's Resin. It's called Bright Gold. So I have a pigment in here, but I also have a tube paint. And that's what that is. And then around the puddle, I'm going to use quinacridone magenta, which is one of my favorite pinks. I love it. Okay, I've got all my tools over here in my mom's little dish. And I think we're ready to go. Are you guys ready? I'm ready. And I have no idea what's floating around in my brain this morning. So I do not know what is going to come out of my mouth. So be prepared. It could be anything. I really appreciate you guys for joining me. I hope you grab a coffee. I mean, I'm posting this on Sunday morning, so, you know, hopefully you're not already drinking tequila and whiskey, but, you know, if that's how you roll, that's how you roll. I'm not here to judge. So a good sized blob, pool, if you will, of the foundation layer. And I think when I was pouring that out, I think I saw something right there that I think I need to pick out of the paint. A handy pair of tweezers. These are wonderful. If you don't have a pair of tweezers in your studio, I highly recommend getting some, because they're really handy if you get a hair in your painting or a little blob of paint. You can just pull it right out with your tweezers. Also over here I have my hair dryer, some wipes, my skewer, and what I do is I use that to test the thickness of the paint. I also have one of these little guys, just a little dropper, and a pipe. They call them pipettes, and that's if you get too much paint in one area, you can just suck it out with the pipette. And of course I have my dotting tool and my trusty torch for popping bubbles in my hairdryer. Today I'm actually using my mini flower hairdryer. I got this a long time ago. I don't use it that often, but for this one I think I'm going to try this because I want thinner petals, and I'm going to try and do a double Dutch bloom again for you guys today. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tip this puddle. Oh, still something over there. I can see it. When I move the paint, it catches. So you can see it catching right there. Something right there. Did I get it? I don't know if I got it or not. Oh, for crying out loud. Nope, I don't think I got it, but whatever. Okay. That's frustrating. Just probably something on the edge of the cup. And I poured it in. All right, so I do like to just elongate the puddle a little bit before I start putting the, oh, there it is again. Okay, you know what? Using a palette knife this time. Where is it? This little bugger. There he is. Got him. It's a little blob of paint. That's my trusty palette knife. It's my favorite palette knife. I've been using that palette knife for 3 years. I don't know what I will ever do if I lose that palette knife, you guys. So like I said in the beginning of this video, I am on TikTok. I do post different stuff in there. There's a few things of Mr. Bentley in there. And I'm just back on there after a pretty long break. So I thought I might like just share little tidbits of life in Maine or whatever. I'm also obviously going to be sharing my art, but I wanted to make that a little bit different than what I've got going on here, just because I want the same stuff everywhere. Okay, another reason why I love this PPG house paint, not hardly any bubbles. And I did explain that to you in the last video. I'll explain it to you in this video too if you didn't see the last video. The main reason you want to make sure you use house paint or your foundation layer that doesn't have bubbles in it is because when the bubble pops in the base layer, it pops up through all the other layers. And if you're using white, you're going to have white specks in your painting. And some people like that, some people don't. So just as a reminder, just make sure if you get your paint at the store, don't have them stir it, because that will cause bubbles and they take forever to go away. All right, so this time, a little off center. Remember we said a little off center. So I'm going to start like just south of center here. I don't want it to be too far off center, just a little bit. So I'm going to put down a little puddle like that, and then I'm just going to elongate it. Like that. One thing I love about this style of painting is that you can mix up your paints, and like I mix up like half of this is a 10 ounce or 12 ounce container. I mix up half of it and it lasts for a really long time. Okay, then this is that mixture of the permanent blue violet and primary magenta. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to put a puddle down and then elongate it, just because this is a longer canvas. And if I just did round puddles, these petals would be shorter. And I want to be able to stretch some of the side petals out a little bit more to get them to go so that I can use most of the canvas. I do want negative space, but I don't want a ton of negative space. And you guys, this just takes practice. I've been painting a lot. I have painted hundreds of these. I don't share all of them because they don't all come out the way I want them to, and a lot of them are just practice. So this is the Alzarian Crimson. I thought it would be really neat to add some crimson in here, just because purple is made of red and blue. So I thought if I added a really neat red, it might kind of make the purple pop a little bit. But I don't know. Like I said, I've not used this color combination before. So this is a dioxazine purple, the titanium white to lighten up the purple, and then I added a little primary magenta just to make it a little more of a reddish purple. And you can see it's a little bit lighter. And I don't want the pink, this fluorescent pink, to take over the painting. So I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of this. Just like that. Not very much at all. I just want a hint of that in there. Just a tiny hint. Hey, if you guys are Gen Xers out there, give me a shout out. Let me know. I'm Gen X. 1970 was a good year. Oh shoot, I can't get the cover up there. I usually loosen them up ahead of time so that doesn't happen. So this is that mixture of the tube paint, the Pivio iridescent gold, and then the Let's Resin pigment of the bright gold. So it's a really, you can see it's a beautiful gold. And again, I don't want too much of this, so I'm just going to put a little puddle like that. And this is a full container, so this is going to last a really long time. I started getting the larger jars for my paints just because I'm doing larger paintings now, and I like to mix up bigger batches. So I got the larger, I think they're 12 ounce. I'm not 100% sure. So this is going to go on the outside edge because so far I've got the outside of my puddle still the darker colors, the Van Dyke brown and then that permanent blue violet. So I'm just going to drizzle this around the outside edge so that hopefully when I blow out the petals, there'll be that light pink. I mean, it might not work that way, but I do want some light pink around the outside edge, so it's not the dark. Trying to keep the dark in the very center after I blow it out so that it has some depth to it. Okay. A little blob there. That's all right. Now the diffuser on this hairdryer is a little bit small. It's not as wide, so it will likely make skinnier petals, which is good. That's what I want, I think. Okay, don't see, well, there's a couple bubbles, not very many. So then we use the top layer. Again, this is not cell activator. Nothing is being activated. Don't need a ton. There's a little blob in there that's not letting me. This is the one thing. It's why I've stepped away with a lot of these colors using the squirt bottles, because I just kept getting really tired of having to clean out the nozzles all the time. Okay. That's for the cells. I'm going to scoot these guys all back so I don't hit them when I start spinning. All right. That one's dirty. That goes over there. I'm going to get a clean one. Okay. All right. So I'm going to try to do 3 petals that way and then 2 this way. And then hopefully I'm going to tilt it that way. So the flower is going to end up looking like it's kind of facing you guys. We'll see. It doesn't always work that way. So this is loud, I apologize, but here goes. I'm just gonna enlarge that center puddle of the top layer. Just want to make it just a little bit of a bigger target. Okay. That's pretty. Oh my, that is very pretty. Two this way. Okay, that's the first layer, super pretty. Now I'm going to do a second layer with the remaining bits that are left over. You'll notice, guys, I'm not holding it parallel, holding it perpendicular mostly. And then you'll see a lot of times I'll twist it to get the petal to turn. That's just a fun way of doing it that I've discovered that I like to do. All right, so let's do this one. That one. That one. Ooh, so pretty. That one. Oh, that gold. Ooh. It's giving me the feels. All the feels. Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay, I gotta extend this one a little bit. Hold on. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm going to hit this with the torch just to see if I can get some cells in specific areas before I start spinning. So a few cells will come up there, especially as I start spinning. Now I'm going to use the dotting tool. Again, I remind you, the base layer is very stretchy. So when you're using your dotting tool, when you lift up, make sure that you break the stretchy part of the paint and the white part before you move your dotting tool very much, or you'll drag white paint through your flower, and you don't want to do that, I'm assuming. Maybe you do. So I always do just small moves. Don't need don't need big changes at this point because the composition is still really small. So again, you want to keep your changes and your tweaks fairly small because they will get more pronounced as you spin. And all I'm doing here is just adding a little bit of interest to the petals, breaking up the lines a little bit, trying to make it look a little more natural. Just tiny changes, not big changes at all. And then I'm going to tilt it and show you what I mean by getting it to go in a certain direction so that it looks like the flower is actually tilted on the canvas. It's not really that hard, and I'm sort of delighted at my mistake that allowed me to discover this fun little way of making a tilted bloom. So I'll remind you, slow down. You don't have to go quickly at this stage. Paint's not going to go anywhere, hopefully. Okay, that I like. All right, so now what I'm going to do is, before I pull out the edges here, I'm going to tilt it. Remember I said I want it to look like it's not slanted, but tilted. Like I'm not looking at the flower straight on, I'm looking at it at an angle. So in order to get that effect, you lift one side of the flower, and what I'm doing is I'm shrinking this side of it and getting these petals to move that way so that it sort of bends. See how the center is moving a little bit? So now it's pointing in a direction. There. Okay, that is lovely. All right, so now I'm going to stretch the white. And like I've said before, you cannot move a paint composition onto the dry part of your canvas. It won't move, and it will just foul up your composition. So this is why I always pull the base layer, the foundation paint, I always pull it right to the edge because I want the composition to go all the way to the edge. And once the composition hits the dry canvas, it will stop. And then if it does keep moving, it will roll under. The white paint will roll, and then the composition on top of it will roll under. And there again, you'll lose some of your composition. And I don't want to do that. So I'm just kind of trying to share with you the little tips that I've learned. This might not be very helpful to you. I mean, if you've been doing this a while, you probably already know this stuff. And that's fine. But I feel like you can never know everything. So it's good to learn. It's always good to be a student. I'm also aware and have learned and have been told that keeping your mind sharp, continuing your education keeps your mind sharp. And there are studies that prove that continuing education and continuing to learn well into your 70s, 80s, 90s, and beyond, if you live that long, helps keep the Alzheimer's and dementia at bay. And that's what we all want to do. So that's very cool. All right, here we go. I'm going to start spinning and see what happens. Make sure there's nothing that's in the way. Spin slowly. Remember, more revolutions at a slower pace. It's totally fine. You don't have to spin your canvas off. So it's clear to me that this one here is probably going to go off the canvas. And that's okay. A little bit. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it this way so I can stretch these guys a little more. And here's another little tip. If you find your composition isn't moving quickly enough in one direction, you can add a little bit more of your foundation layer. And the weight of this paint that I'm adding on right now will help to pull the composition off the canvas a little bit faster. Now we'll do this. So again, I'm not spinning it real fast, but the canvas is moving, the paint is moving. You can see because it's coming off the edges now. And you can see the composition is expanding. That right there is about as fast as I would go. I wouldn't go any faster than that because I don't want a fiasco. I don't want my painting sliding off onto the floor. But even at this speed, not a problem. Okay, now I'm going to scoot it that way because I want these petals also to spin off. I'm still trying to keep this part closer to the center so it spins off slower, but I think I am going to lose some of that petal. Just make sure that's not going to hit anything. Move all my stuff out of the way here. Okay, so let's spin this a little bit. See what happens. This is the magic part. This is the part that always gets me because you never know what's going to happen when you just put blobs of paint on a canvas. But the moment you start spinning and stretching and moving the composition, that's when marvelous things will happen. Does anybody know what movie that's from? Did he say marvelous pigs in satin? One of my favorite animated movies ever. James the Giant Peach is one of the first books I read as a child, and I adored it. That one and the one with the little mouse. What was his name? Stuart Little. Oh, I love Stuart Little. I will tell you, they changed the ending in the movie. It's not the same as the book. If you've seen it, if you've read the book, you might be disappointed. Okay, so I am going to stretch it this way a little bit because I can see there's quite a bit more paint here, and these petals still need to stretch a little more. So we're going to just make sure it's not going to hit anything, and I'm going to spin that way. So I'll probably have to spin a few times this way because I've got quite a lot of the foundation layer that needs to move, and those petals need to stretch as well. So this one will go off the canvas a little bit, but that's okay. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I am going to pop a few more bubbles in the center. You can see some of those cells have been formed in the center. And there we go again this way. Oh yeah, there we go. Ooh, this one's lovely. They're all so different. It just amazes me how I can put the paints on the canvas the exact same way every time, and every painting is different. That's one of the things I just love about this medium. So beautiful. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, so now that I've got it pretty well, it's by no means done. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to come around and fill some of the low areas. And then kind of spread it, because it's not going off the edge here because the side of the canvas is dry. So I'm just going to move a little bit of it over there, and that will encourage the paint to continue to slide down the side of the canvas, because I do want to keep stretching the composition, and if the side of your canvas is dry, it doesn't stretch as quickly. So I'm just gonna go like that. Okay, here we go. Spin a few more times this way before I move the canvas again. I've had one person who commented and said that I seem very deliberate and that I go really slowly, and for them it frustrates them because there are a lot of fluid artists out there who do videos and they're fast. They're fast painters, and that's the nature of the way they're painting. It tends to be a little bit faster. This is very deliberate, and I'm trying to get a very specific outcome, so I have to manipulate the paint and the canvas in a very specific way in order to get it to do what I want it to do. So that's why it seems a little slower. I don't want to bore you guys, but I mean, this is real time, obviously, because I'm talking and I don't sound like a chipmunk. My voice isn't sped up. Woo, hot flash coming. Anybody else out there in menopause? Woo, it's so hot in here right now. I can't believe it. Oh my gosh. Wow, that one hit fast. I feel like my face is red. Oh my gosh. Woo, I need a fan. Oh, I apologize to the men who are watching, but you know, this is life. You got a woman in your life who's in her 50s. You're dealing with the hot stuff. Not in a good way. Oh, I love this. Looks like a pansy to me. This is so pretty. Whoo, Lord have mercy. Oh, God, I could never live in the South. All right, let's look in. Oh, yeah. Okay, so now that I've stretched out the composition a bit, you can see what I mean. It looks like the flower looks like it's tilted a little bit. So I'll show you, if I turn it this way, it definitely looks like the flower is upside down, right? And even the long way, it doesn't look right that way or that way. So this is definitely the right way. And it's because I tilted it a little bit to make it look like it was angled. Makes it a little more interesting, I find. Okay, so I'm gonna do another spin just because I want to pull this. There's a little too much negative space on this side of the canvas. So a little bit faster, I'm gonna try and pull some of that white off this side and it will drag the flower petals that way, hopefully. While I melt. Oh my goodness. Somebody told me 50s are the new 30s. I disagree. I was in my 30s and I did not have uncomfortable hot flashes. Me no likey. Almost ready. Almost ready. Okay. What do you think of that? Is that not very cool? Oh, yes. Oh, I like that a lot. Okay. In order to encourage, I'm going to test the center here real quick. Perfetto. Okay. I'm going to encourage a few more cells to form in the center. So I'm using the flat end of my dry skewer. And what I'm trying to do is just force that top layer down so that it will create a cell. Hopefully. And then as the paint dries and shifts, the cells will grow. And if you want less black in the center of your painting, this is where you could use the pipette. Pull a little bit of that top layer out and have a little bit more pink. But I am going to be adding texture to these flowers. So, and you can see those 5 dots that I made have already formed cells. So I'm just forcing the black paint down. It's a different viscosity, and it's causing the other paints to rise. And that forms the cell. The Rayleigh-Taylor instability theory in action before your very eyes. Like magic, but not. It's just science. Hey, why are you spinning? Hey, quit spinning. As the paints dry and shift, those few little cells that I made in the center there will get a little bit bigger. They won't get as big as these guys, just because if I continue to stretch it, they would get larger. But I don't want them like that. So let me take a moment, and remember you guys, remember what I said about scraping the excess paint once you get your composition exactly the way you want it. Remember to scrape the edges of your canvas because as the weight, because the house paint is fairly heavy, as the weight of the house paints continues to slide off on the edge of your canvas, it will continue to pull your composition. And if you've got your composition exactly where you want it and you don't scrape the sides of your painting, the composition will move. And it won't be the same as it was when you left it. And then, I mean, it might be better, but I don't like to take the chance. I feel like if I get it the way I want it to stay there. It is also possible if you don't spin enough of your paint off your canvas. That's why I always test the center to make sure that it's thin enough. Because if you don't stretch enough of the base layer and the paint off of your canvas, it will continue to flatten out. So it will continue to run down the sides, which will continue to distort your composition. So like I said, you just got to protect your composition at all costs. This is just years of experience that I'm just sharing with you guys. Hopefully it's helpful. If it is, if you like these videos, guys, please drop a comment. Let me know from where in the world you're watching as well, because we've got people from all over. And it's really exciting to read the comments and see where you guys are all from. I live in Maine, which is in the US. I am learning Italian, as you can probably tell. If you haven't been following me very long, you probably heard me use a few Italian words. I'm new. I don't know very many at all. I'm still learning, but I've got a year almost before I go to Florence. I'm not going to have it mastered by then, but I will definitely have a very good working knowledge of Italian when I go to Florence. And I do have, there's a link in the description down below. Is my heart's desire to go to Florence to the Uffizi Gallaries and see the incredibly stunning, beautiful artwork there. There are a couple of paintings from Caravaggio that I am dying to see. And I also would like to see Henry Holliday's Dante and Beatrice. Would love to see, that's a beautiful painting. I would love to see that in real life. So there is a link. I started a GoFundMe page. I would be absolutely honored and blessed if you would want to donate anything to help Lil K get to Big Italy. That would be a complete and total honor. If you, I know some people have already donated. Thank you. Grazie mille. Thank you so much. And if me using Italian on my channel bothers you, I'm sorry, but this is how you learn. In order to speak a foreign language, you have to speak a foreign language. So I take every opportunity. My friends are going nuts because every time I see them, I teach them a new Italian word. One of my friends wanted to learn how to swear in Italian, so I learned one swear word, which I'm not going to share with you. You can Google Italian swear words if you want to learn them on your own, but I'm not going to share that on my channel. So I want to be able to speak the language of the people, because not only I think it's respectful of them to go to their country and speak their language, it's a little disrespectful, and I feel like a little arrogant to assume I'm going to go to another country and expect them to speak English. Even though some of them might, I don't want them to feel like they have to. But not only that, but the language is just beautiful. It's romantic, and I just love it. I am still learning how to roll my R's. I'm not good at it yet. I still can't quite do it, but I've learned a couple of basic sei troppo gentile, which is you are too kind. That one, grazie mille, thank you very much. I've learned a few phrases that are just beautiful. So I'm having fun learning Italian, and I will be delighted to go next fall to Florence. I'll send pictures and I'll take videos while I'm there, and I'll post them to my channel so you guys can see. All right, so I'm not sure if you noticed or not, but while I was talking and spinning and scraping and everything, these spots in the center have become larger cells, just like I told you they would. So very cool. I am delighted with this one. Super happy with this. I'll bring you in for a close-up at the end of the video so that you can see what's going on with the gold. That gold pigment is just popping through here and there in the very edges of the petals. It's just beautiful. I love this color combination. I'm going to run through the colors again really quickly. We started with Van Dyke Brown, and then I had that beautiful purple, which is a mixture of permanent blue violet and primary magenta. And then I have a little Azarian crimson. You can't see a lot of it, but there's just enough to make it beautiful. And then I have the dioxazine purple mixed with a little bit of titanium white to lighten it up. And then I added some primary magenta. Then I had the fluorescent pink, and you can see there's just a tiny bit, because remember, I just drizzled a little bit. And then obviously that gold, PBO iridescent gold, and then the Let's Resin bright gold pigment. And then around the outside edges, the quinacridone magenta. So it's got the pink frillies around the edges, and I just love it. I will be adding texture to this one as well, so be on the lookout for those videos coming. It takes a little while to get them all going and edit it and all that stuff. I'm still really new to it, but I love this, and I would love to hear what you guys think of it. So I'm gonna sign off. I'm gonna say thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you all so much. Torna presto, which is come back again soon. Torna presto. Arrivederci, which is goodbye. Still learning to roll my R's on that one. I'm gonna get better, I promise. So arrivederci. I'll learn it. So thank you so much for joining me. This is Little K, and I appreciate you subscribing. Thank you so much for subscribing. And go make the art, you guys. You'll be so glad you did. Bye-bye. Arrivederci.